What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and welcome to the place where gamers, witches, wizards, and superheroes unite. Today, we're going to do a noob setup guide for the Stoner 63 at level 30 in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. So first, let's go over the setup and help elevate your game to the next level with the Stoner 63. I have the 1911 as my secondary, the Stim, Semtex, and Trophy system as the 3 across, and then Perk Greed, where I have Flak Jacket, Tac Mask, Assassin, Scavenger, Ninja, and Ghost. So now we've gone over the setup, let's get into the attachments. I have the 18.6-inch Division, which is going to increase the shooting move speed and damage at a cost of range and horizontal recoil control. Then I have body, I have a steady aim laser. It's going to increase that hip fire accuracy. Then my underbarrel is the foregrip, which is going to increase my horizontal recoil control. My handle, I have the speed tape, which is going to increase the aim down sight time. And stock, I have the tactical stock, increasing the aim walking movement speed. So now that I've gone over the attachments and the setup, let's get into some gameplay and talk more about why this is so great for the Stoner 63. As we're getting into the gameplay, I do want to say that if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, the red button down there, just like my Mario hoodie and my beanie. For more Call of Duty gameplay, I do a bunch of other videos and video games, so check those out as well. Pokemon Greedfall, I've been doing those lately too, so check those out. Now, the advertisement is over. Let's get into some gameplay and talk about this setup. So it is a light machine gun. The Stoner's a light machine gun. I'm going to be playing a little bit slower than normal because light machine guns are meant to be a little bit slower paced. They're not meant to be running around doing trick shots. I mean, you can. Maybe if you're more talented than I am. I'm sure some of you are. I'm taking it easy because that's how the Stoner is meant to be played. So I'm kind of methodically moving around the map. So let's talk about why this setup is great. First, we have to talk about the 18.6 Division. This is going to increase the damage, so you're going to be able to kill your targets quicker. It's also going to increase the shooting move speed. So while you're shooting, you can move a little bit quicker. So enemies that may have some of those faster moving guns, you're going to be able to keep up with a little bit easier. So those two things are very nice. And I know you're going to look at it and say, but you're decreasing the horizontal recoil control. Why on earth would you do that? Well, I'm going to get into that. But the Stoner and most of the light machine guns in general, they don't have bad recoil. They're pretty easy to control with no attachments on the gun. So what I did is I definitely hurt myself a little bit, but I have the foregrip to counteract that. The 18.6 Division is going to decrease my horizontal recoil control by 12%. The foregrip is increasing my horizontal recoil control by 20%. So I still have a net increase on that horizontal recoil control by 8%. So I'm not doing anything negative to the gun in terms of recoil control. So the gun was already easy to control, and I'm still making it a little bit better. So really the only thing I'm taking away from is the effective damage range. How big is that? Well, you're not going to be able to compete with snipers, and you probably weren't going to be able to do that anyway. However, you can see here, I have no problem hitting that enemy down range and killing them fairly quickly. A lot of the long areas on a lot of these maps, especially on some of the favorite maps, you should be completely fine on. Raid, if you like Nuketown, a very small map, you don't have to worry about that. But even some of the bigger maps, maybe Armada Strike, again, some of the longer areas, you're still not going to have to worry because you still have a gun that you can control fairly easily. And when enemies are coming up on you, you're going to be able to do more damage. So I'm really not worried about that range too much. Then everything else is really trying to help me when enemies are trying to push me. This isn't a great gun when you're trying to compete with close range weapons. Can it be? Absolutely, but you need the right attachments. When enemies are rushing you with the AK-74U or the MP5, it's going to be kind of hard to compete with them as they're moving extremely quickly. So what do I do in this scenario? I add hip fire. I'm doing the laser, so I don't have to worry about necessarily aiming down the sight to compete with them. I'm just maybe firing from the hip a little bit, moving around, maneuvering as I can. I also add my aim down sight time with the speed tape, so as if they're trying to push me pretty quickly, I can get that gun up quicker, and this is also effective against enemies over ranges. I always want to try and get my gun up to my face as quickly as possible because I can start shooting at them first, which is always nice. And then the aim walking move speed. So when I'm aiming and I'm walking, I'm able to move quicker, which is nice to keep up with some of those quick enemies that I'm going to need to keep up with if I do want to aim down the sight and they're rushing. So I'm really just taking some of the attachments and trying to get rid of the weaknesses of the stoner as much as possible with this build. I really do love the 18.6 division coupled with the foregrip though. I think that's a very great combination. Again, the stoner doesn't have that hard to control recoil. I'm even helping out with the recoil with the combination of those two, which is really nice. So I'm getting better recoil and I'm increasing the damage so I can really tear enemies up that are trying to rush me. I do absolutely love this stoner. I've been tearing it up with this gun and tearing it up with this setup. So I definitely recommend y'all check out this setup and let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you've used it. Let me know how well you do when you've been using this setup. I think you're going to really like it. I definitely enjoy it. Now, we can talk about the perks that I have, but really they're pretty standard perks. I'm going to be methodical about my movements. I'm going to be a little bit slower paced. I'm not running around. So when enemies know where I am, even if I'm capturing a zone, I like to protect myself from those explosions. I like to protect myself from the flashbangs. That's why I'm using the flak jacket and tactical mask. They are pretty self-explanatory. Then, when I see a guy camping in a building, I'm going to finish him off and then shoot his body because he wants to camp in our spawn area. So, there's that. Anyway, back to the regularly scheduled program where we're going to talk about perk 2. So, Assassin. Assassin is an absolutely fantastic perk if you want the ability to call in your score streaks quicker. Ending enemies on a score streak are going to allow you to get a higher score streak quicker. I think it's an absolutely necessary perk if you're trying to go for those higher score streaks. Maybe not if you're going for some of the lower score streaks, you may be okay. But if you're trying to go for some of the upper score streaks, Assassin is absolutely fantastic. So it's going to get you more points and it's going to level you up quicker because you're getting more points. So that's an added bonus. I'm using Scavenger. I always go back and forth as to what secondary perk 2 I want to use. This is just because I want to continue to use my stoner. I don't want to have to pick up anyone else's gun and try and use it because most likely if someone was rushing me, if I end somebody close and I have to pick up their gun, it's not going to be the play style that I'm trying to do within this game for the stoner. The stoner, again, is a little bit more methodical. If you pick up an AK-74U, you really are going to have to change up your play style. You're going to have to be a little bit more close. You're going to have to rush the enemy a little bit more. Most likely, a lot of stoner or RPD enemies aren't going to be rushing me. I'm not going to be able to pick up their gun. I'm not going to be able to pick up a light machine gun unless I'm running around the map. So just for that reason, I have Scavenger on. But there are a lot of other good perk 2s that could go well with this. That's just the reason why I use perk 2 on this setup anyway. And then the perk 3 category. A lot of perks can go here. I prefer Ghost and Ninja just because I don't like enemies seeing me on the map. I like to sneak up on enemies if they're in our spawn. Like you saw earlier where I shot the dude's body, I was able to sneak up on him. If the enemy was able to hear my footsteps, I'm not going to be able to sneak up on him. And because that enemy has a submachine gun, it's going to be even harder for me to kill that enemy when we're in those close quarter combat scenarios. So having the enemy not able to hear me is nice, so I can sneak up on them, because I'm not going to have the advantage with moving very quickly. They're probably going to have that advantage. So I want the advantage to be able to sneak a little bit, and that's what Ghost and Ninja is going to do. Although I do like that on most classes, because I like the ability to sneak around enemies not hearing me as much. But you don't need a suppressor because, again, this is a slower paced class. You're most likely going to be on the side with your teammates. You're going to be a little bit more methodical. You're not going to try and get behind enemy lines really with a light machine gun. It's going to be a little bit slower paced. But I absolutely love this setup, and I hope y'all love it as well. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Is the Stoner your favorite light machine gun, or do you have another favorite light machine gun? So far, this is mine. I've tried all of them, and I've been loving the Stoner. So thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope it does help you out as you're going through builds. And by level 30, if you're using this setup, I think you're going to do very well. So until next time, peace.